Listen up, I got a story to tell. We're raising hell every Monday and Thursday.
Pop culture.
Listen up, I got a story to tell. We're raising hell every Monday and Thursday. Pop culture unleashed. Facts unfiltered, hype increased. Just unleashed, breaking through the screen. Living in chaos, creating the dream. This is where rage and humor collide, so hold on tight. I got that drive in me, for the life of me. Staying truly thankful for the fans I see. Talking to people of all types, making the chat hype. The more united we are, the higher we all fly. I got that drive in me, for the life of me. Stand truly thankful for the fans I see. Talking to people of all types, making the chat hype. The more united we are, the higher we all fly. Unleash, breaking through the screen. Living in chaos, creating the dream. This is where rage and humor collide, so hold on. Starts igniting, my brain starts igniting.
When shame starts writing,
God placed us in this fighting
to speak and enlighten.
We don't sleep to dream, we sleep to build
Stamina.
Energy to do our thing.
Let's-
Get your camera lights dim. The chat starts to
Where's
grin.
that feature
The
thing?
stream is live and buffering. The show is about to begin. So sit
There it
down
is.
and buckle it in. This is Unleashed, breaking through the screen. Pop culture chaos, living the dream, and the dream. Every Monday and Thursday, pop culture
gotta fix that.
Unleashed, living the...
You know the problem with Hollywood is? They make shit. Unbelievable, unremarkable shit.
To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair.
Will you fight? No! We will run! And we will live!
Shame on you. This could be the greatest night of our lives. But you're gonna let it be the worst.
And I guarantee a week won't go by in your life you won't regret walking out, letting them get the best of you.
Well, I'm not going home.
Day may come when the courage of men fails, but it is not this day.
The line must be drawn here. This far, no farther.
I'm not saying it's gonna be easy.
You're gonna work harder than you ever worked before.
I really do believe that together we can accomplish anything.
Because we'll never stop learning and we'll never stop growing.
Failure is not an option.
That's how winning is done. Believe me when I say
We can break this army here. It has made us brothers. I say to you, what every warrior has known since the beginning of time. You've got to get mad.
I mean plumb mad dog mean.
If you would be free men, then you must fight to fulfill that promise. Let us cut out their living guts.
1 inch at a time.
And they will know what we can do!
Let no man forget how menacing we are. We are lions.
This is your time. Seize the day.
Never surrender. Victory or death.
So come on then! Take it!
This is where we hold them. This is where we fight.
All right, let's fly! My name is the Lord. When I
tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take
our Independence Day. You, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Then in the name of democracy, let us use that power. Let us all unite. Let us fight for a new world.
We don't sleep to dream, we sleep to build stamina. Energy to do our thing, get your camera up. This show is about to begin, so sit down and buckle it in. Let's go! Hey, welcome to the Pop Culture Unleashed. It's Thursday, October 3rd. I'm Shane. Sitting next to me is my undercover brother. I was trying to figure out Brian Montgomery wearing his shades. I accused him earlier of trying to be cool and like make a statement. Brian, tell everybody why you've been wearing shades lately.
It's so bright in here, bro.
Okay.
1, 2, 3 lights. 1, 2, 4 screens. It's bright, bro. And I'm up all night working every night. And when we do the show, I'm just like,
Can I ask you a question? Have you recently been bit by a bat?
Yeah, I was bit by a very attractive, looked a little bit like Megan Fox vampire. I could have gotten away, but I let it happen. So
because you're starting to look like Fat Corey Feldman from some movie he was in a long time
I've
ago.
always looked like Fat Corey Feldman.
Anyways, welcome to the show,
Lost
everybody.
Boys.
I was going to say the Lost Boys. Welcome to the show. We've got a lot of things to talk about. Before we get started, if you can, go ahead and please, if you're here and you're watching every week and you like what we talk about, and for whatever crazy freaking reason you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do so now. Hit the subscribe. And also, let's give this thing a thumbs up, and let's get some other people out there seeing what Brian and I are up to.
Smash that thumbs up right now. Smash it.
You know, people have been saying smash it for like so long. I've been trying to come up with different ways to like get people excited about hitting the thumbs up button.
Assault that thumbs up button. Assault it.
Thumbs up button. Okay. Let's see. What are we talking about today? Megalopolis. Megalopolis was the worst theatrically released movie I have ever seen.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Wait till you hear why. Joker 2. I was in the theater. We'll talk about it later. I was in the theater sending Brian like little clips of the ridiculousness of what was happening.
He was pirating the movie while he was watching it
in 30-second 30 seconds.
And no one would stop him because there was no one else there.
There was no one else to do it. There was one guy. One guy shut up. I'll tell you the story in a little bit.
Okay.
Joker 2 fan reviews are mixed, but some are saying I wanted a Joker movie, not a musical. More on that coming soon.
I saw part of it too.
Oh, okay. I'm going to see it tomorrow. Brian and I didn't get a chance to go and see it during the pre-release, but I'm going to see it tomorrow, so don't ruin it for me, okay?
I'm not going to ruin it for you, but
all right.
Let's just say I could have watched the whole thing, and I didn't.
Oh, okay. Sounds like me and Megalopolis.
Right.
I did watch the whole thing. Rachel Zegler walks back Snow White comments, but she still sounds like a spoiled brat. More on that. Want to know how important our port workers are to keeping America running? They went on strike for 2 days and it's already over. So we're going to talk more about that. Yeah. 30 minutes ago, Brian, they agreed to go back to work.
Hey, what are you talking about, man? Hey, I need 77% increase on my $973,000 a year. You know what I mean? Hey.
Yeah. We'll talk more about that crazy guy too. Let's see. Helene, deadliest mainland USA hurricane since Katrina in 2005. What did the government do to take a big poop on those people?
Not enough.
Talk about that. No, they did. They did enough to take a poop on them.
No,
just didn't do enough for them.
Right.
They definitely took a poop on them. A couple of vice presidential candidates had a debate that, for the first time and perhaps ever, was better than the actual presidential debate. And we'll be discussing that. Israel is about to beat up on Iran, and it doesn't look like anybody can stop them. Let's talk about why that happened, and it's actually pretty interesting. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Brian, did you have anything you wanted to share before we get into this?
I just wanted to say how much I love everyone out there watching. You proud, you awesome folks. I wasn't going to say Marines.
You Marines. You pop culture Marines.
You pop culture soldiers.
You raw devil dog.
Do me a rock solid. Do me a solid here. And I'm going to let you know how the super chats work. This is the format we're trying to stick with. We're going to read any super chat under $20. We'll read it at the end of the segment so that so it doesn't interrupt the story. But if you do give $20 or more, then we're going to interrupt and interject your thoughts into the story. And don't forget to become a member, because after this we are going to the member section.
All right. That sounds fun. All right. I have no idea what we're going to talk about. Member section is going to be crazy today. It's going to be whatever you guys want to talk about. That's what we like to do. You guys drive the engagement there.
Yeah,
as it should be. All right, let's talk about Megalopolis. I know the movie has been out, but we weirdly do our show on Thursdays, like the day these movies come out, so we're unable to get to them on opening night sometimes. And and Brian, neither Brian and I, we saw the Megalopolis. Of course, this is the Francis Ford Coppola, the movie he's always wanted to do. His
Magna Carta.
Magnum opus.
Magnum opus, whatever it's called.
You know what the Magna Carta is?
Yeah, I misspoke. My bad.
That's hilarious.
I pulled a Tim Walsh there. I apologize.
No, oh yeah. Were you in Tiananmen Square? Just answer the question.
I was in Tiananmen Square
that year.
Well, this is what I did. I took some kids over there for a singing competition, and then I went back camping. Let's talk about never answered the question.
The community knows where I was at. Okay. Yeah, that was funny. We'll talk more about that soon, but that was hilarious. So Megalopolis is a rated R 2 hour and 18-minute Francis Ford Coppola fever dream. In this abstract fever dream. The city of New Rome hosts the conflict between Caesar Catalina, a brilliant artist played by an actor that I actually love, Adam Driver, in favor of a utopian future, all while the greedy mayor, Franklin Cicero, these names might sound familiar to you, played by Giancarlo Esposito. Basically, they're in conflict, and between them is his daughter, Julia, her loyalty divided between her father and her beloved. This movie is a movie that is 30 plus years in the making. Actually, I believe it's 44 years. Back in 1980, Francis Ford Coppola wanted to make this movie, but he couldn't. And if you guys know who Francis Ford Coppola is, there's a reason why that name sounds familiar, because he's famous, like super famous.
Yeah. I feel like Adam Driver is collecting directors for his resume, but in every one of their worst movies.
Okay. Well, I mean, he hasn't made Adam Driver made the point that he's not going to do what people want him. He's going to do whatever the hell he wants to do.
Yeah, that's very evident that he's not taking advice from anyone.
Well, in all fairness, this movie is going to be talked about for quite some time, probably.
Yeah,
not in a good way, I don't believe. Now, there are some people who think that this movie is actually genius, and there is a fine line between genius and insanity. There really is. And some people might look at something that's totally insane and think it's genius. When I went to the theater last night to go watch it, I was the only one there. And that made me nervous. It was 7:10 on a Thursday. And that's not a good sign. Another guy walked in and sat down after I sat down, and we were watching the movie, and we'll get into more what it's about. But halfway through the movie, when I'm already like texting Brian and half watching it myself, the guy gets up, he starts laughing, and then just walks out of the theater. And the reason why is because
this is so dumb.
He just laughed and got up and walked out. It was hilarious because, and guys, this is not a comedy. There's nothing funny in this movie whatsoever.
Yeah.
But there's some things that happen in it that are so embarrassing. Like you're embarrassed. I'm watching and I'm like,
cringe.
Oh God, these are great actors. Listen, guys, who's in this movie? Dustin Hoffman's in this movie. John Voight's in this movie. Shia LaBeouf's in this movie. Lawrence Fishburne's in this movie. Talia Shire, Rocky's wife, is in this movie. There's D.B. Sweeney. There's all kinds of people in this movie, including Adam Driver and Giancarlo Esposito, Natalie Emmanuel, Aubrey Plaza. Normally solid, strong actors.
Yeah, I love Aubrey Plaza. I love her so much.
I would say the one positive you can take away from this is you do get to see her girly parts. So there you go. If you've always wanted to do that, you got that.
Yeah, but all the clips you were sending me too, I was like, it looks like she's doing like theater test. Like she's in acting class and she's doing monologues. It's really bad. Really bad.
Let me tell you why it's like that, and I don't think it's her fault. So basically, this vision from Francis Ford Coppola, he wanted to explain, like, he wanted to ask questions of our society, like why we choose to do the things that we do. This story is, and while you're watching it, by the way, it's very hard to pick up on some of these things, which is one of the things that makes the movie so bad, because it is very abstract. There's, 5 or 10 minute segments where, it's just like flashing lights and Adam Driver looking like he's going crazy. Nothing's happening. There's no story. You know, it's just like, he's just, there's like weird hands behind him making weird shapes, and there's shadows on the buildings. It's very much like you go into an art gallery and you're like, the artist created this and there's no real explanation, but how does it make you feel? That's kind of
sad for the artist.
Well, and you can appreciate artwork that kind of makes you feel something. But the difference is with a movie, you're telling a story. You can have a 2-hour and 18-minute piece of visual art if you want to. And listen, Francis Ford Coppola spent a big chunk of his own money making this $150 million movie.
Oh my God.
He sold, he has a wine brand that's actually pretty popular. He sold a chunk of his very popular wine company in order to get the money to back for this film.
Oh my God.
But he did it, and he's 83 years old, and he did it. He got it done. So what did he want to do? He wanted to ask some questions, like, what is the cost of trying to create a utopia? And he asks some really great questions. Like, these are eternally interesting questions. Like, why does our society constantly, why do these great civilizations fall, right? And what is this battle between, like, the new thing that's coming to change, which Adam Driver represents, versus the old way, which Giancarlo Esposito represents, and his daughter being the thing between the two. This movie is interesting because it takes place in a place called New Rome. It's essentially New York, present day New York, but it's almost as if it's essentially like if what Rome would look like today, in New York, right? So you've got the Caesar, you've got all these different characters who do represent different things, like Aubrey Plaza. She essentially represents the media, right? And she's screwing everybody. Well, doesn't that sound like America? So, I mean, he's got some interesting points of view here. But the problem is, somehow he fails to get his points across. He fails to tell his story in such a way that the audience can understand what it is he's trying to communicate. And that's where it becomes a problem. And I understand that he wants people to think about this for generations, but most people are going to think of it as something that was, that doesn't make any sense and is a failure.
Right. I mean, because it was a failure. Like, people aren't watching it. So,
right.
So, you said there's a fine line between genius and insanity. There's also that fine line between people thinking it's genius and insanity. Like, it's entirely possible that the old, obviously Coppola is a legendary director. Does that mean he's a legendary writer, though? Does that mean that in his old age he, maybe has lost a little bit of that fire? Because, like, the older you get, the less cohesive, the less cognizant you are of your previous skill. Let's be real.
Well,
I used to be a world-class Counter-Strike player, and now I can't play for 5 minutes without dying. So,
well, if you go back and you take a look at Francis Ford Coppola, the last great movie he made was Bram Stoker's Dracula, and that was way back in 1994, I believe.
Oh, jeez.
So, when you take a look at it, let me double check that. But yeah, when you take a look at it's been, 1992, he did Bram Stoker's Dracula. That was the last great movie. Now, he did do Jack, which is not a horrible movie, but not a great movie. That was with Robin Williams, who was a kid who grew up really fast as an adult. He did The Rainmaker, which was the John Grisham novel, which is okay. But it's been reasonably, 30 years since he's directed anything worth a damn. Now, he is the guy who did the Godfather movies. He did The Outsider. He did Apocalypse Now. I mean, he's got, he's one of those great guys that came out the same time George Lucas did and Steven Spielberg. He was one of the guys, right? One of those directors when we talk about the great directors. But you're right. He's done little to nothing since then. And he's produced movies, none of which are really that wonderful. And, but he wanted to do this before he died. He dedicated the movie to his wife. It was something he envisioned. And I think, he just was unable to tell a cohesive story that made any sense. It was embarrassing, frankly. Embarrassing.
There's also a little bit of like, from what I saw and what I've read after the fact, seems like there's a little bit of personal politics in there that probably muddy it up a little bit.
Well, it would be great. It would muddy it up if it made sense in the first place. Like, even though you're right, there's some, there's guys with red hats. Sure seems awfully a lot like Shia LaBeouf is playing Trump. It does seem like in his mind, it's, maybe it's not on the nose, but you do get that kind of flavor. Aubrey Plaza is obviously, the media. You've got, let me get it real quick here. You've got Giancarlo Esposito. He's the mayor. So, he represents kind of like, maybe he represents like old Democrats, right? Adam Driver represents the new Democrats, right? Trying to create the utopia. You've got, he obviously doesn't like the media because Aubrey Plaza is not a character that that is very beloved here. But it seems like to me, he's trying to create, if I were going to guess, Natalie Emmanuel, by the way, who plays Julia Cicero, beautiful woman, by the way.
Oh, yes.
British. Yeah, she really is an interesting person to look at. She represents what I believe is, say, the current Democratic Party taking their old vision and their new vision and coming together to create something good,
right,
or better, right? Shia LaBeouf is probably Trump. John Voight is perhaps the Republican. Now, what's interesting is Adam Driver's character is related to John Voight, so it could be his idea of melding some sort of left and right, political ideology.
You also might be
together.
overthinking it.
I could be. Now, he can tell you, and perhaps he will do a director's cut where he explains everything. But he did say he wanted something to think about. The problem was at the end, he gave us a solid ending for this movie. He gave us his opinion. He told us what he wanted, and I won't ruin it for you if you. I doubt you want to watch it. But
so is this movie going to be one of those movies that becomes a cult classic in the next 20 years, or is it going to be in the $5 DVD bin at Walmart?
Let me tell you this. Because it's Francis Ford Coppola, it's always going to get respect. It's kind of like that movie Eyes Wide Shut by Stanley Kubrick.
I like Eyes Wide Shut.
I think it's a terrible movie. I hate it.
I like that movie.
I don't know how you could possibly.
You got to watch the 4K.
No, it doesn't matter how
version.
Well, by the way, this is a beautiful movie. First off, let me tell you, graphically, it's beautiful. So, and I can tell you exactly how much I give a shit about that. Very little.
No, I get that. But if you don't watch the right version of Eyes Wide Shut, then there's parts missing that ruin the story.
I don't like the story.
I watched the edited version that came out. I guess it was, I don't know if it was theatrically or whatever, but I hated it. And then Tom from Midnight's Edge sent me the 4K unedited version, like the unedited cut, like the original, his original vision. And there were literally it's a different movie. It's a different movie. There's parts in it that actually make sense. All of a sudden, you know who that woman is. You know what Tom's motivation is.
Well, that's not the one they put out.
No, it's not the one they put out. Right.
Let's just talk about whatever. You do your director's cuts later, and it changes things. Wonderful. So I think he's respected, and for that reason, a lot of people are giving him kid gloves. A lot of people reviewing this thing are like, you can kind of see what he was doing, and it's beautiful, blah blah blah. And it is beautiful, beautiful visually, like that. You do feel like you're like in a dream a little bit. Adam Driver is an excellent actor. And I think they were going for this. I think the dialogue and the way what I showed you, some of the scenes, was almost like a Shakespeare play, like a Roman play acting out. And so even the acting was almost like what's the word we used earlier? Was
theatrical?
Not just theatrical, but
art house.
Difficult. Yeah. Art house. I just used the word. I can't remember. It was when it was his fever dream. What did I say? It was abstract. The acting feels a little abstract. Like it would be so easy for them to just explain to you what's going on, like to act it out. But instead, it's almost done in like riddles.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. I'm not sure why he wanted to do that. I mean, he wanted to give people, and listen, they're going to be talking about this for a long time. I promise you, this is something people, but it's going to be talked about as perhaps being one of the worst movies. Right now, it's got a 35% from fans. Even the critics have given it a 46%, which is kind because there was one scene that I actually liked in the movie.
I'm surprised the critics don't have it at 99%.
It would be impossible. You would be a joke as a critic if you rated this thing good. It's just not good. Characters disappear. Like literally the second half of the movie, characters who were introduced, you never hear from them again.
Right.
Like their storylines just end. I mean, you've got so many strange little sidetracks that just make absolutely zero sense, that it's painfully obvious that he wanted this to be probably a 5-hour movie or 6-hour movie, and the studio said no. That ain't gonna happen.
Absolutely.
And so it got
not.
edited into whatever the hell. The guy knows how to make a movie. Apocalypse Now was of its time, was groundbreaking, and this feels like he's trying to break some sort of ground again. But the problem is that, that movie had a great story. This story is not good. Although Grace VanderWaal plays the vestige virgin in this. They have this scene where it's basically like kind of the Roman Colosseum, but it takes place in Madison Square Garden. And she sings this song about being this Vestal Virgin. And that's actually a pretty good song. But that's really all I can say. DB Sweeney's in it. I love DB Sweeney. Some people who had been canceled, he kind of brought them back. Jason Schwartzman's in it. I will never watch this movie again. Because I lost 2 hours and 18 minutes of my life that I can never get back again. But if you're really bored and there's nothing else for you to do, throw it on, check it out.
Yeah. If he comes out on streaming and you're bored, and maybe you're one of those people that really likes to get, drunk or high or something. Maybe it's way better if you're high.
Yeah. Or if, let's say you're an Adam Driver fan and you've committed to watching all of his movies, you will have now watched the worst one. Right. and that's saying a lot, because 65 Million, which he was also in, was a freaking terrible movie.
Yeah, it was. So we'll talk about Joker next week, but I gotta say, Joker is talk about the hype train. I was so hyped. I was like up here hyped, and now now I don't care.
Yeah. So just to put a cap on Megalopolis before we move on to it, Megalopolis it was $150 million movie to be made, and that doesn't include some of the advertising, which the studio did not match. They were supposed to put up their $150 million to advertise for it, but it has not. Megalopolis. Yeah, this is really bad. It looks like it's made. Let me double.
$317.
Yeah, it's earned a little over $4 million.
Wow, that's rough.
Now, that was a couple days ago, so maybe now I was the only one. No, there was one other guy in the theater, so we paid $26 to watch it. But that's $7.10 on a Thursday night, not Friday, Saturday night. But listen, for a weekday, that's the prime time you're going to go watch a movie, is $7.10, right, on a weeknight.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, disturbing, absolutely disturbing.
Well, looking at my Cinemark page here to see what seats are available for Megalopolis, and let's see, all of them.
Dude, check this out. So it says here, the cast members, everybody in the cast, made somewhere between $7 and $10 million each. So just one cast member has made more than the movie has made.
Oh
at this
God,
point.
that's rough.
Yeah,
that's rough. Yeah, all of my seats are available. So I don't know.
Wait,
man.
do it for Friday night.
Okay, let me do it for Friday night.
Do it for Friday night, because that really says a lot.
Yeah, because Friday, that's the big day, right?
Yeah.
All right, Friday.
7 something, whatever.
Right. Okay. Looks like there are 2 people currently. These 2 people. And what crazy people chose these 2 seats right in the front? Like, you're not going to go back here and get the good seats?
Are those recliners?
They're all recliners. Yeah.
Then that's where I sit.
Right here in the
I
front?
like to sit right behind this row. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, the handicap?
Well, yeah, because I got unfettered view. I like those are my favorite seats.
Well, this is Friday at 7:35 or whatever, and there are 2 people currently sitting in that.
This movie's going to make less than $10 million.
That's crazy. Hey,
Yeah.
You know what? It beat Bros.
Did it? Did it?
Yeah, I think Bros. Like, it already beat Bros because Bros made like $3 million.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, let me tell you, Bros probably cost like $5 million to make. So did it beat Bros?
No, I actually want to see it box office now. I remember the last time we checked, it was like dismal how much it made. I don't know. So Bros actually made domestic $11,628,000. So worldwide, it made a little over $14 million.
It hasn't beat Bros yet.
It hasn't beat Bros. That's your metric.
I think eventually people were going to watch it. It'll do better in streaming because people don't want to go see a train wreck at the theater. They don't want to pay these prices, but they might be like, all right, let me see what is so bad. They're going to buy it or they're going to rent it on Amazon and they're going to watch it for about 12 to 15 minutes and they're going to turn that shit off. I promise you. Because that's about the time I was like, let me tell you, for this to be the worst movie I've ever seen theatrically released means that it's worse than Showgirls, which I walked out of in the 90s.
Dude, I like Showgirls too. Like, we're on the. You gotta watch the director's cut of that.
That's not what comes out in the theater.
I get it. Theatrically,
I'm telling you, what comes out in the theater.
I was too young to watch that in the theater, though. I would have had to have snuck in. True. The thing about this movie, though, when it goes to streaming, they're gonna call it like it's a hit, #1 movie for the last 5 days. They're gonna do that, and I'll tell you why. Because people are gonna be curious, and they're gonna watch the first 5 minutes, and it only takes a few minutes for it to trigger a view. So the Netflix algorithm or whatever is gonna make it look like it's on top of the world when everyone's checking out at 10 minutes.
Yeah, the movie is just really confusing for the first 10 or 15 minutes. There's a scene where kind of all the actors are in the same place together. Like, at first, it's kind of interesting because Adam Driver. It starts out the movie with Adam Driver like coming out of that building that's in New York. I can't remember what it's called. The
Empire State Building. No,
it's not the Empire State. It's the other one with all the windows.
I don't know.
And anyways, he comes out of it. The Chrysler Building? No, that's someplace else. He comes out of it and like it looks like he's gonna jump, and then all of a sudden, just as he's about to jump, he's like, "Time, stop!" And then time stops, and he just kind of doesn't fall. And it's kind of weird. So you're like, oh, "Okay, well, that's kind of interesting. Like,
sci-fi.
What's going on here?" Yeah, a little bit. And then from there, it just goes down this endless tube of like, what the fuck am I watching? What? Why do they do that? Why? What? Okay.
I say we get like a 50-year-old bottle of a good bourbon and just sit back and we'll play a drinking game with that movie. Every time you cringe, you take a shot. And you know what? By the end of the movie, it's probably the best movie you've ever seen.
Maybe, yeah. Well, you've had so much fun that how could it not be?
Right. Okay, guys, that's it for that.
Let's grab some super chats before we move on to the next thing here. Looks like Christy's Corner hooked us up.
Yes, she did. Christy's Corner said, "I'm in" for $1.99. Thank you, Christy. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Christy. Appreciate the support so much.
Okay.
And she also gifted a membership.
She did. She gifted a membership as well, and it went to the Fook guy. Woo to the motherfucker gentleman.
Oh, wait, are you changing your name every week?
No.
No, that was the one from last week.
Well, right? Before it was like
we two dumb motherfuckers.
Yeah, okay. Before he was like Fook the bitch or something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
And she was trying to give it to Penny, but it didn't work out. So maybe
if anyone else wants to try to give Penny a membership, get on in there. Okay, you know what? A real interesting thing. August said, "Am I racist?" Might make more the movie. I gotta tell you, I'm watching that movie. I'm planning on watching it this weekend, and I am so excited to watch it. It's weird. It looks so funny to me. It looks like it's gonna be a laugh riot, dude. I almost thought about taking my kids and decided against it.
What? Don't do that. What's wrong with you? No, see, the problem is like I've seen like all of the main clips, and somebody said like if you've seen these 3 clips, you've seen pretty much the whole movie, and I've seen those now. So I don't know if I'm going to go see it at the theater, but I'll. It's not coming out on. It's going to come out on that channel
on Daily Wire, yeah,
Daily Wire, right? Which I'm not a member of. So
well, if it came out theatrically, you might be able to buy it or rent it digitally on Amazon or something
down the road, perhaps. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Okay, well, so let's talk about Joker 2. We haven't seen Joker 2 yet, so we can't talk about whether the movie is.
Yeah, I say we talk about that next week after we've seen it.
I think we should just point out though, because it's going to be a whole week.
That's true.
That what some people are saying about the movie. We don't know for certain, but we can say and we can speculate because we know that that Harley Quinn is being played by a very famous
Lady Gaga.
Singer, Lady Gaga, who they've been advertising her album over and over again. So what some people are upset about is that they feel like they're now going to Joker the musical as opposed to seeing the Joker 2 movie, which the first Joker movie was not a musical. Nobody was singing.
Right.
It was fantastic acting. It was groundbreaking. It was $1 billion movie. Now all of a sudden you've attached Lady Gaga and they're pushing this album, the Joker album that's getting ready to come out. Brian, do you think that they would have the audacity to completely change the tone of a movie in order to sell records?
I don't know if it's to sell records, but they definitely did completely change the tone of the movie. My biggest criticism, I guess we're going to talk about now. Yeah, you're
just
right.
A little bit. You haven't seen it yet. Oh, did you see the whole thing?
I have seen most of it. Yeah, I stopped watching about 38 minutes in.
Well, then give us a non-spoiler.
Non-spoiler.
Look at what you talked about.
The musical numbers, they're not attached to the movie. So if you've been watching our channel for a while, you know that I don't like musicals. But I definitely can tolerate them if it's a good story. And I can even like it if it makes sense in the story. Like if it actually wraps around the story in some way. And I get it. And this is a very, very minor spoiler. I guess they met in like this singing therapy thing.
Okay.
So that's like the connection to the singing. But none of the numbers make any sense. They're very long. They're drawn out. And from what I've seen, it seems like the majority of the movie is about Harley Quinn and her connection, and it's a different movie. And you know what? The character has gone backwards. We saw this huge progression, but we don't see that in the second movie.
So is it a true musical to the effect of where she just breaks out in song during the movie, and is it a true musical or is, like you go to Greece and that's a musical, right? The whole story is told basically.
It's a musical like that, but it's wrapped in her psychosis. That's why why the musical numbers don't connect. Like they don't feel connected to the story. They lackluster is the word.
Let's read a couple. So here's some of the comments. I wanted a Joker movie and not a musical. Reads a verified audience review rating. The movie 1.5 stars out of 5. And that the ending is completely disappointing. This reads from another user. It's more of a musical than a movie. If you enjoyed the first movie, then you shouldn't watch this one.
Yeah, it's a different movie. Like that's legit. It's like the character development we saw in the first movie didn't happen. Like, yes, it's connected to the first movie in the sense of where he is and all that, but his character sees no progression. It's like he's just right back to where he was in the beginning of that first movie.
Okay.
It's very much wrapped around Harley Quinn, and I don't think Lady Gaga's a good enough actor to carry a film. She's not. I mean,
she was really, really good in A Star Is Born.
Sure. I mean, maybe her musical powers is great, but
no, her acting was good in that movie. She acted really well. She was, and
in this one, it felt very forced.
Okay.
It felt forced. It felt sort of amateurish. And then when she brought, she's a good singer, great, but the music felt disconnected. And again, I stopped watching around 36 minutes or so.
Okay, so
it was late last night. The copy I had was not great, and I was tired. And you know what? That tells you something, because I'm the kind of guy who can be exhausted, but if I'm interested in something, I will finish the story. I love a good story. I will finish the story, but there was no story here that I was interested in finishing.
Okay, and so sorry to hear that. And hopefully my experience will be different, and we'll of course share with you next week when we've had a chance to watch the whole thing. But we'll cap it off with basically, despite Phoenix and Gaga's performances, there is a consensus that Joker 2 is largely uneventful, with reactions ranging from tedious to pointless, boring, grim, pretentious, and extremely stupid. Pointless sequel that takes away from the original. I don't know how you take a movie that made $1 billion and make a sequel that fans of the first film will hate.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Shame.
And again, when I watched the first movie, I didn't expect to like it. I don't like the super dark sort of like.
I did. I went into it going, I'm going to love this movie because it's Joaquin Phoenix and it's the Joker and it's Todd.
Yeah, Todd Phillips. And I get what you're saying. Like, I like Joaquin Phoenix, but I don't I think The Batman is
awful.
A horrible movie.
We're on the same page there.
I despise that movie greatly. The thing is, when you take like the superhero genre and you try to make it like super gritty and realistic and add all this art house stuff, like I am not interested whatsoever. Like the biggest draw for me after the hero's journey would be sort of the blockbuster aspect of a movie. But the first Joker really took my expectations, which were super low. And when I went into it, I walked out thinking, man, I can't wait for a sequel. Oh my God, this character is amazing. Yeah. The story is great. It was just mind-blowing.
He meets Bruce Wayne.
Dude, he meets Bruce Wayne. The pacing was perfect. It was honestly a 5-star film. One of the best superhero movies I've ever seen, and there was no superpowers.
Right. We get it like this tease that maybe the Joker is the brother of Batman.
Right? No, it was
obviously wouldn't work.
It was a great film. So when they said, "Oh, we're making a Joker 2," I'm like, "Great." Harley Quinn's in it. I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." It's played by Lady Gaga. Oh, okay. It's costing even more than the first movie. Oh, okay.
No, not necessarily a bad thing, because a sequel usually does cost more.
Right. It's a musical. Oh, okay.
Now that I was not ready for that. And I know if you bring Lady Gaga in, she was really good. Here's what's funny. Was Star is Born a musical? There were a few songs in it, right? But what I'm hearing is there's a lot of songs in this movie.
There's a lot, yeah. And they're disconnected. They it doesn't. It feels like there's songs in here to have songs. It's like, oh, we got Lady Gaga. We need a lot of music.
Well, I bet hers was, well, if I'm going to be here, I gotta do music. Right. That's the problem with a lot of these directors and a lot of these studios. We don't know, like Todd Phillips is known to like kind of do his own thing. Right. But when you get into doing a sequel, right. And now the studios are like, oh, we made $1 billion. Okay, Todd, here's what we need you to do on this one. Well, Todd should say, okay, I made the first one and you guys didn't know what the hell was going on and we kicked ass and we did a great job. Don't come here and tell me how to make my sequel.
Yeah,
right?
That might be it. And like that, he didn't have enough pushback.
He can't say that. He can't say that because he's not one of those directors yet that can do that.
You might be right,
He's going to get on all fours and he's going to take it directly up the ass from these studios who say, hey, we can get Lady Gaga. She can sing some songs.
Right.
We can make money over here with our music label. We can make money here. People are going to show up. Hey, but studio, hold on a second. I'm Todd Phillips again here. Remember me? I made the first movie. Yeah. So, but the fans are going to hate it.
It was
studio.
It could be that.
Hold on. Wait. We don't give a shit if the fans hate it because they're going to show up and pay for it. And we're never going to make another movie again about it. So we win.
Now, it could be that, but it can also be, hey, your first movie was so successful, do whatever you want, and there wasn't enough pushback from the suits that would be like, you know what, there's a lot of singing in this. Hey, you know what? Maybe make the character less annoying when he's in his, Joker persona. You know what? This pacing is boring. It feels like there's pieces missing. How does someone at some point, and you're right, it could be that the studio took over and was like, let's make a musical and make $1 billion. But it can also be that they trusted Todd, and I'm not sure. They trusted Todd Phillips, and so there was no pushback. We've noticed that creatives, especially directors and writers, or directors/writers, like the best movies they make is when there was someone in the room saying, George, chill on the Ewoks.
But that's almost never the studio, bro.
That's true.
It's almost never the studio. It's somebody else supporting the creative vision. It's somebody else internally. It's not the studio, because the studio doesn't know how to provide something. All they care about is the bottom, especially maybe earlier studios had some idea. It's all about the bottom line. It's all about how much money they can make. And listen, she kicked ass in A Star Is Born. Let's give her another run. And I don't know whose idea, and we'll have to go back and take a look at it. We're going to do a bigger deep dive when we watch the movie and talk about it next week. But if this was Todd Phillips' vision, I'm going to be disappointed, because I do think he has better taste. If it's as bad as what you're telling me. Yeah.
Now, is it as bad as Megalopolis? I don't know. I don't think it was.
I'll tell you next week.
I gotta tell you, at the very least, some of the musical numbers were interesting. But this movie does commit the kernel crime of doing what a movie can never do: be boring. You can't be boring. You can't be boring, and it really is just sort of dull.
Megalopolis was boring. It was really a boring movie. Yeah, if your story gets boring, then that's bad. So, you did only see 39 minutes of it, so we gotta get the whole thing. But it's definitely not getting great reviews. I think it's like a 50. What is I got rid of it already, but it's not doing great. It's like 59%.
It's where is that? I have it right here. It's at 40%.
Yeah, so that's the critic rating right now. Not good.
Yeah,
and not good.
And here's the deal: we don't we don't even look at critic ratings as something that is valuable.
This movie would have had a good critic rating,
but yeah. Look at the movie. Like this movie, like you see a movie like Black Adam or Shazam, like you expect the critic rating to be low. But you see a movie like Joker 2 with Lady Gaga, Joaquin Phoenix, and it's a musical. That's like critic rating bait. So the critic rating needs to be in the 70s for this to be like an okay film.
Well, and here's the thing, at least, so the critic rating wasn't over the top for Joker, because remember what was going on at the time. This was a movie for incel men.
Yeah, it was for incels. It was for Trump supporters or whatever.
But here's the thing, as much as the media hated that movie at the time, it still got a 69% on Rotten Tomatoes. So be curious to see what the audience score. The audience score for Joker was 89%. I feel like that should have been higher. We'll see how it turns out for this movie.
Yeah, the first movie was so good. You know what? Penny had a good point. We got to check it. I want to see what the rating looks like on Critic List, because that's where a lot of our community hangs out.
A lot of the people, though, in that community haven't reviewed it yet.
That's true. I haven't logged in.
Next week will be the time to look at it.
Okay. All right.
We have another gifted membership opportunity here, but it did not work out. From Jeremy Schneider, gifted 1 Pop Culture Unleashed membership. Thank you so much for the support, Jeremy, and thanks for trying to get Penny in. DS was gifted a membership, so we'll see DS over in the members section later.
Yes, we will.
Moving on, let's talk Rachel Zegler.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Who?
I don't know. Are you being funny?
No, I you cut out.
Oh, you couldn't hear me?
No, you were
Rachel
like, let's
Zegler?
talk. I didn't hear what you said.
Well, I don't know that's happening to me. Okay. Well, let's talk about Rachel Zegler on about Snow White.
Okay.
The 23-year-old, this is interesting. The 23-year-old decided she's going to walk back kind of explain some of her wording on Snow White and the things she said. And she talks about how, she's had to face off against toxic Disney fans, and how she's watched women get torn down her whole life.
Oh, goodness
so
gracious.
I thought we could talk about it. Yeah.
I know people think she's not attractive, but I do think she's attractive.
No, she's not. She is not attractive. Why? Explain. Well, maybe she's got your thing you like about her. Her eyes are wide set.
That's okay.
her eyes are wide set. Her mouth looks, if you just look at this picture that you have up here, her mouth looks like, she actually looks like one of the alien creatures.
We're literally tearing down a woman.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, as far as attraction. Now, listen, I'm ugly. I'm an ugly man.
My problem with her casting is that they cast her next to Gal Gadot, and Gal Gadot is just, she's supposed to be more beautiful than Gal Gadot. That doesn't.
Well, if you go back to the original cartoon, you know, some would argue that the Wicked Witch was pretty hot in the,
maybe
or the evil queen. Anyways, so she basically does this interview here with Variety, and you know, you got to look back at Zegler here, and you got to remember that she got her first gig when she was in high school. She got cast as Maria in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story. So she's cast by the greatest director of all time, and she's playing one of the lead roles in West Side Story. As a high schooler, do you think she's going to get bit by the entitlement bug, Brian?
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah, of course she is.
How can you help it, right?
Yeah, how can you help it? You know, and I watched her in a few things. I finally watched that Mockingbird movie, whatever it was called, Mockingbird Golden Sun or whatever.
Hunger Games.
Hunger Games, Mockingbird. Was that? I forgot what it's called. She wasn't bad in it at all. To be honest, she wasn't.
I didn't like her in it, but she does have, I don't like her acting in it, but she has a really nice voice. I will give her that.
I didn't mind her at all. I thought I was not going to like her
in West Side Story.
What's that?
That's how she got cast in West Side Stories, because she has a great voice.
Right.
And in Ballad, of course, she sang in
Ballad
in Ballad of the Songbird. So, I mean, it seems like she's kind of, you know, these roles where she gets to say, and she's done quite a bit of stuff. She did Shazam, right? And she was
forgettable in Shazam, but she wasn't bad.
But she wasn't the main character either. She wasn't supposed to be. So, I mean, she's done some things that are okay, but the problem is throughout all of this success that she's had, she's kind of gotten into this thing where she's got this entitlement problem going on, which happens to a lot of child stars, right?
Yeah.
So on October 24th, following a month of previews, so Zegler will be making her Broadway debut as Juliet in director Sam Gold's revival of Shakespeare, best known romance Romeo and Juliet. So she's getting ready now to go to the Broadway stage, and she's going to play Juliet on stage. The problem with Zegler, in my opinion, is that she is a poster child for this generation. For her generation, she is a poster child. For some reason, she feels like she has the right to speak her mind without repercussion, as we'll see in this story.
Yeah, you know what's interesting too is, like I said, like I didn't find her bad in those movies. I found her sort of forgettable. Nothing special. She's not like super attractive. She's not super personable. She's not very charming. She's just sort of forgettable, right?
Right.
So why is everyone giving her jobs?
So because she fits the current mold for what they're looking for. She's not white. She's a woman of color, right? And she checks a lot of the boxes they're looking for. She is, I believe she is Cuban. Yeah.
Is she?
I think so. I think she's Cuban. And I think the problem is that like she fits it. If you look at what they're trying to do right now, they aren't hiring little white girls to play Disney princesses. They want, you know, women of color, young women of color. And she just happens to fit. Plus she can sing. She's like a Disney wet dream, bro. And that until she starts speaking and getting on social media. So let's go back to some things that got her in trouble here. So when she playfully posted about not being invited to the 2022 Oscars, despite West Side Story earning 7 nominations, she was called ungrateful and entitled. For admitting that she took the role of Shazam, of the Shazam sequel, because she needed the money, she was seen as tacky and in need of media training. And every time she speaks up about racism and sexism in the entertainment industry, she's slammed as just another DEI hire, coasting on her identity rather than her talent. Now, Brian, what would you say about these things? Do you think that's true?
Yeah, the whole DEI hire thing, like, you know me, I love to blame everything on DEI, but I don't think that's the case in this instance.
A little bit though. You would definitely have to give the D, right? You'd have to give diversity because she's got a great voice, so she does have talent, right? I don't think she's a great actress, but she's not a horrible actress.
She's not horrible, right?
Right. But she is diverse. And so she for the same reason that for years and years and years, if you showed up for an audition, if you didn't look the part, you didn't get the job. And to these days, if you want to get the job, you got to look the part. And it's no longer about putting on a costume. It's the color of your skin and what you got between your legs. That's the only way you're going to get a job. And she marks all those check marks, DEI, right? So in a way, it kind of is. But let me ask you this. Do you think why do you think it is that she's so flippant when it comes to talking on social media? Why she doesn't feel like she has any need to watch what she says?
Typical Gen Z, man. I was editing that clip we had about Gen Z the other day, and we didn't go crazy into it, but like the Gen Z, and I don't want to sound like the old guy with my fist up to the clouds, being like, these kids and their technology. But we have sort of trained an entire generation to say whatever they want, to worry more about themselves and their mental health and their situation more than anything else. We've trained in a huge generation of now becoming adults to be over the top, insanely selfish to a degree where it starts to come into entitlement. And that selfish generation that we have trained are now coming into the workforce, and some of them are getting a pretty hefty dose of reality because they're being fired or let go. But some, depending on where they're working, like working at Disney or working at some of these hyper-inclusive, super DEI companies, are actually changing their entire culture to match that hyper entitlement that this generation has. I don't think it's going to end well. I think we're going to see, a mostly forgettable generation of actors that comes out of this generation, and it's just going to hurt movies and TV, overall.
Okay, and so a couple of things. Yeah, I think you're 100% right on a lot of this. But some of the things she just says things that make that are just insightful or that are incendiary. So one of the quotes she has, she meets this Variety writer in a hotel, and she just seems completely oblivious to the fact she feels like she can say whatever she wants. She tells this person she's in Hollywood. She says, the reason I fell in love with this industry is not because of this town. She says, lowering her voice to evade the ears of the locals. In fact, I kind of can't stand this town. I don't like that there's a town built around this industry that I work in. It's stifling and isolating and weird. In New York, nobody gives a fuck.
She is just smart enough to be an asshole.
But it's not helping her.
Right.
It's not helping her in the sense of saying these things is not making her, no one's liking her more.
Right.
I don't think it's also getting her jobs. This is one of the comments she had. Somebody on X. So someone on X wrote to her, someone should kill you. This is back in August, right?
God, see, I hate
so she
that.
wrote.
It just gives her ammunition, by the way, which is so frustrating.
Right. And nobody should be writing anybody should kill somebody else. If you're writing those things, you really need to question yourself and ask, why would you do something? Even if you cannot stand somebody, unless it is your mortal enemy and you have some personal, but if it's some person out there, no matter how much you like him, you shouldn't wish them dead. But it says her reply was, fun fact, I'll be dying 8 times a week on Broadway this fall. Person out there, buy a ticket. So I mean, instead, she feels like she needs to engage these people, and then she complains about them later when it's really just onesies and twosies, right?
Right. Yeah, that's another thing too. Like the dozen or so people that will attack Rachel Zegler or Rose Tico or a character and over the top hyper internet troll status and say kill yourself, ugly BSETH or whatever. Like that is 0.00001% of the actual audience, but that is the only people they'll talk about for the next 5 years every time they go to a media junket. It's crazy.
Right. It's true. So one of the things
by the way, Shane and I have gotten death threats and we're no one. We're nobodies.
Yeah, but that's like our landlord. So they
No, we've gotten actual comments on our main channel that are like, you fat. Yeah, you're just so mad that we even had the audacity to talk about Stargate or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
well, when you upset somebody and then you give them, this is the problem with social media. You give them a way to be, to voice what they want to say when they really feel about you, and there's no repercussions. Like, I can't go punch that person in the face,
bro. One of the blocked comments was, "You mispronounced data. You F word. You should kill yourself." I'm like, damn, bro. It's a mis.
We could have avoided that had someone.
Maybe you're right, but I took screenshots of some of these because like people are so upset over the smallest, most innocuous things. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's true, and so it's funny because I know, like, I'm a very large man, and I promise you would not tell me that to my face if you saw me.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Like there's no way most of the trolls out there are gonna try to attack your anything when they're in your presence. They're gonna be real nice. It reminds me of some of these politicians that like they like go at each other on the internet, but then they meet on the Senate floor and they're all chill. Like, oh, hello, hi, how are you?
Well, that's part of the game for them. Like,
right.
They're, I don't know, honestly, I don't know how you could do it. I don't know how you can kind of be fake or what's real. Are they actually mad or are they not mad? Is it a show?
No one knows. Right?
No one really knows. But talking about this, so now let's go to the Snow White stuff specifically, and we'll move on from this in a sec. So one of the things that she was inspired by, Rachel, was inspired by Brandy's, when Brandy starred in as Cinderella alongside Whitney Houston in 1997, right? You remember Brandy, the singer?
Yes.
She's the black girl.
Yeah, I remember Brandy and Whitney Houston. I remember that horrible movie. It was garbage.
Okay. Well, okay, so that's kind of what inspired her. So she says here, I grew up in a house,
it's like Cinderella in the Hood or whatever,
where that Cinderella was her Cinderella. And so Brandy came out and actually said, oh, she's going to be incredible in the role. And she has some advice for her. She told her, you're not taking on this role to fit the mold of critics, she writes. You're doing this for every little Colombian girl. She's Colombian, I guess.
Oh, God.
You're doing this for every little Colombian girl who has yet to see themselves in a role like a Disney princess.
Okay. This is the problem, though.
Yeah, there you go. That's what the problem is.
She's sitting in this echo chamber of idiots. Well, it's an idiot echo chamber.
That's not why. I mean, that's not why you do something. You don't become a Disney princess so that you can say anybody can become a Disney princess. You're supposed to, especially one that's already been, like, go create a new Disney princess if you want. Go create a Colombian, do a Mayan.
There are Disney princesses that fit that mold. They're already out there. That's what I'm saying. You don't have to do that.
Right. So you don't have to change Snow White. It was, obviously
it's so weird. Like when they were like the casting of Little Mermaid is that African American chick, Halle Berry or whatever. I'm like, but I don't get it. Like, if she's such a great singer, like, why don't you make her Tiana or whatever, the frog and the princess, whatever it was called, that movie, where it actually would fit her. In fact, she would even cute that role up a little bit, and she would kill it. It would fit her whole, the dreadlock motif. It would fit everything. It would work for her. You can remake that movie, and it would make a lot of money. You don't have to switch. What?
Or just go do a Moana. Go make a new one.
Well, they're making a live action Moana, and
but when they did first, they created Moana because they did not have a Polynesian Disney princess.
That's
so they
true.
went and made one.
Well, the thing about that too is they're making a Moana live action, and people got mad that the person they cast wasn't dark enough when she was literally Polynesian.
Well, how many people got upset about it?
I mean, I don't know, but it was enough for Variety to write an article about it.
Of course it was, because it only takes one person,
right,
for Variety to write an article. All it takes is one person, and that is why
garbage company.
That is why the media is such shit, and it's hard for anybody to tell what's real and what's not real.
Maybe Coppola's right about the media. Maybe Megalopolis is a genius. Maybe it's genius.
His message might be, but he just couldn't convey it.
Yeah. Okay.
So lastly here in this story, the social media outrage about Zegler being cast as Snow White only got louder as time went on. She began saying in red carpet interviews in the summer of 2022 that her version of the iconic princess wouldn't spend her days pining over a man. She called aspect of the original story weird and said that the 1937's prince literally stalks Snow White. And of course, what happened after that? People got pissed. Right now, that a lot of people had comments for her, and they call them online trolls here. I call them people who are like questioning her sanity.
Yeah.
And why she did things. Well, she walked those comments back. She said she comes back to say, in all honesty, it made me sad that it was taken in such a way, because I believe that women can do anything, but I also believe that they can do everything. And what she meant to convey was that Snow White wants romance, but has other goals too. So she's walked back her comments, which we saw what she said. That's not what she said.
Well,
she was, this is a man movie.
I gotta
right?
say, I'm gonna give Disney a W here, because I believe that behind the scenes there is someone at Disney making some very distinct and positive moves for this film. They're probably teaching her what to say, how to slowly walk things back. They're swapping out the weird, those weird hippie dwarves. Remember that? They're walking. Yeah. They knocked that out. It's back to being what dwarves look like. Although you could have just used dwarves. Apparently, CGI is safer. They're trying to please everyone. What?
What's his name ruined that?
Yeah, Peter Dinklage, that idiot.
Peter Dinklage ruined that one.
It's funny because I like Peter Dinklage as an actor, but like he literally climbed up the ladder and then pulled it up behind him.
Pulled it up behind him,
all
bro.
All these little dwarves are like, "Yo, bring the ladder down." He's like, "Go home."
I'm going to take the only movie that literally has dwarves in it. I'm going to make sure you don't get roles in it.
Yeah, it was. You had a movie. I'm sorry. It's so. I know we've talked about this, but it's so crazy. You had a movie that can employ in multiple movies 7 little people that have a hard time getting jobs because they don't fit the mold for most characters, and you finally have a movie where you can employ all 7 people that would have changed their lives, and he was like, "I find it racist." Or whatever.
Because, you know why? Because he doesn't want to be one of those 7, but he also doesn't want somebody else to all of a sudden be like, well, who's that little person? Wow. Okay,
right.
So he's worried about that. So he doesn't want the role, but he wants to shit on everybody else. Anyways, it sent a whole bad thing. Let's continue on what she says here. I would never want to box someone in and say, if you want love, then you can't work. Or if you want to work, then you can't have a family. It's not true. It's never been true. It can be very upsetting when things get taken out of context or jokes don't land. She says now the love story is very integral. A lot of people wrote that we weren't doing that in the storyline anymore. We were always doing that. Really, Rachel, why did you say that it wasn't happening? Right. So, Brian, is she joking or is she just being called out? What's going on?
She's being called out, and I think that she needs to stop talking about this movie.
Yeah.
Like she needs a PR person, like a publicist or something. Like someone like give her 2 phones. You have, it's like what they did with Trump. They had like the Trump phone where like every tweet he had went to like a server somewhere, and you have like the real phone that has the actual account on it, and like just filter her information so she can't continually ruin the studio she's working for.
Right.
She needs training. She spends way too much time on TikTok. That's what it is for sure. She spends a lot of time on TikTok, and then she regurgitates bad TikTok information all over the internet, and she's ruining she really is damaging this movie before it can even come out in theater. And now she's trying to walk it back, but now it's disingenuous and no one believes her.
It's going to make a ton of money.
Also, someone in chat talked about her comments about Palestine. She took a shot at her co-star, Gal Gadot. Very odd things to do.
Well, she believes, and she says it again in this article here, she believes, as she said, and she's misinformed. She says, I can't stand watching babies get killed, children get killed. No one can.
No one can, dude.
But the problem is these Hamas people are going in areas like nurseries and hospitals and schools, and that's where they're hiding. And inadvertently, people are getting killed. Children are getting killed. But, she's right in that respect where you don't want anybody to be killed. But she just needs to listen. It's smarter. It would be better if you were somebody who's trying to make it in today's, in today's Hollywood. If you're trying to make it the best thing you can do is shut the hell up.
Shut up.
Just don't say anything.
Stop talking.
Don't be political. Don't be political. You might get some people who are going to be like, yeah, she's on our side or whatever. You might get some of that, but then once you become too controversial, now they don't want to give you jobs. What happens? Let's take a look at what Rachel Zegler has coming up, bro. Is she already got other things in the can? Because who wants to give her work after? Now she's doing this Broadway show.
I gotta tell you, someone who did a really has really tamed or has really mastered the media to the point of getting jobs that she probably shouldn't have gotten was Sydney Sweeney. Sydney Sweeney was like, yeah, I'm hot. Here's my body. Here's my funny jokes. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to make fun of myself. I'm going to make fun of the movies I'm in. I'm going to just embrace the fans. I'm not going to get too hyper political. I'm just going to be that charming person. And she has gotten roles that she probably shouldn't have gotten because her acting is not that great because people are so charmed by her.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Zegler has a movie coming up now. She has nothing post-production after Snow White, but she does have the Y2K movie that's coming out, I think, on Netflix that she's in. And we'll see how well she does there. And we'll see how Snow White does. Snow White's probably going to make a ton of money because people are going to take their kids to see it, not realizing most people don't realize what's going on behind the scenes. They're just going to want to take their kids to see a cartoon. And so we'll have to see how that rolls out for her.
Yeah.
All right. We have a few more things we want to cover here before we go to the member section.
I did put a poll up. Do you find Rachel Zegler attractive? Yes or no? 44% yes, 56% no. It's pretty solid down the middle.
It's funny. It only lets me say no. Oh, you already voted, huh?
No, I didn't vote.
You had to have voted because I can't vote. Oh no, you put the poll up.
Yeah,
we're in the same thing. Never mind.
Yeah,
dang it, I should have done it. Somebody else says in here, just really quick, how I felt about Anna Taylor-Joy. If I didn't like, because Anna Taylor-Joy also has like wide set eyes. I like Anna Taylor-Joy a lot more than Rachel Zegler, and probably because Anna Taylor-Joy is actually a pretty good actress.
Is that the one? She looks like an anime character. She has like white hair.
No, she's the one in the Mad Max movie, which I finally did watch. And by the way, I thought it wasn't a bad movie.
Yeah,
and she was also in the chess movie.
Yeah,
I actually like her quite a bit.
Yeah, I can take her or leave her, but she does look like an anime character, like a cartoon character a little bit
because her eyes are so big.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, let's talk about a couple more things here. This probably would have been a bigger story. Had the news that didn't come out, but the port workers here in America went on strike a couple days ago, but it seems like they are already returning to work based on an agreement that wages. And what happened basically was you had these they called longshoremen, and they didn't feel like they were getting paid as much as their West Coast counterparts, the people in LA and San Francisco and up there,
right?
Which, let me just be honest with you guys, the cost of living on the West Coast is a hell of a lot more than the cost of living on the East Coast.
Unless you're in New York.
Not in New York, but these guys go all the way down to the South and all the way down to Texas. So there's a whole, so they were upset about that. They wanted more money, and their union boss pushed it. The agreement that they have on wages amounts to basically a $4 per hour raise for each year of the 6-year contract. So they are getting a substantial, looks like they're going to get a substantial raise during this temporary agreement. They're still in talks. It could fall through, but
didn't they offer them 55% and they turned it down?
I don't see that here.
Yeah,
what's
so
55% of what?
The original offered them 55% increase in wages, and they turned down. And they turned down 55%, and they were requesting 75% or 77%.
Yeah, they wanted a 50% raise over the 6-year life of the contract, which then would have come to an average raise of $3 an hour. They said no to that, and now they ended up getting the $4. So they ended up getting a little more, not quite the 70. That would have been 77% over the life of the deal. This is going to give them a little bit more, maybe like 60, 65%.
Yeah, and they were
So it
real
was-
big
it was
on
a middle-
automation. So they're worried about automation taking away their jobs.
Which
right?
they should be, because there are other automated ports in the world that are working. And honestly, if they have to be paid too much money, and the reality is, and I see why they're asking for this. I mean, listen, during COVID, right? Companies made a shit ton of money, a lot of money on the backs of these guys who all of the goods in the United States come from our ports.
Right.
If they're coming from overseas, they're coming into our ports, they're put on rail and trucks, they're sent around the country.
Right.
So these guys hadn't had a raise. So, it's now post-COVID. We have, inflation is up, everything's up. And these are the guys and gals who made it happen during that time frame, and they didn't get their raise. So it's reasonable to get a raise about it. But to show you how important it is, Brian, they were only out for 2 days. And they're okay, we'll pay you.
Yeah, the thing I have about it, like, first off, they should have been getting normal raises, of course. Secondly, the issue with being as demanding as this guy, the union boss was being, this guy, and asking for way more than is reasonable, asking for them to have clear language that shuts down automation.
He's the union leader, by the way. He's the guy in charge of.
Yeah, he's the guy who's making like $900,000 a year to do this job.
He's doing fine. Yeah, nothing
He's
wrong
doing
with that
great.
guy.
He's doing great. He's a millionaire. The thing is, though, what they're doing when they ask, when they go way overboard and they threaten them, they go, "You can't do nothing without the ports. You need just being real aggressive in this mobster kind of voice with his gold chain. He's just going to expedite automation.
Yes, 100%.
He's not.
That is what people.
You're not delaying. You're not delaying it or putting it to bed. This mentality is going to expedite it. Now, look, the company should be giving these guys regular raises, 100%. And it's okay to be like, look, we're not going to work until we get our fair wage increase. Sure. I'm not simping for the companies that are working on the backs of these guys, but you have to understand that these unions, especially when it's you have too many of these automatic elevators coming in, and they went on strike and they never came back. Like, all the elevators were just switched over to automatic. So I'm not
It's
on
not
the
100,
company's side, but like,
it's more complicated than an elevator. 100%. I mean, it's not. There's a lot of moving parts.
I'm just taking an example where they were completely shut out of the business after striking.
Right.
I'm not saying I'm for the company not giving these guys raises. No, give them raises. But this guy is like hyperinflated sense of ego, and his really threatening demeanor, and the way he comes across when he's demanding things.
He says, "I'm going to hurt you."
Yeah, He's like,
he literally says,
I'm going to break your kneecaps if I don't get my 77%. Cleared language, no automation. We're the dock workers. You'll be out of a job. It's crazy the way he responds.
There's a reason why he's doing it. So he gets elected to represent these people.
Mm-hmm.
And so he wants them to hear him fighting for them. Okay. This guy's got a mansion. He's got a
yacht.
fine.
Dude, tuck in the gold chain though, bro. Like, you can.
No, I'm just saying listen, he's not doing this for USMX. Okay. The company that won. He's doing this to get reelected and continue getting paid the ridiculous amount of money he gets paid. That's why he's saying it like this. And here's the thing though. He's not wrong. We don't have automation. They haven't invested in automation, but guess what's going to happen now? Now that they're going to give a $4 raise to all these workers, I bet the next thing they're going to do is start looking into moving little pieces into automation. Well, what would it cost to get something that will take the stuff from the boats to the rail cars without really needing as many people? They're going to start looking into this. Look what happened to McDonald's. Look at what's happened. They raised the minimum wage,
100%.
right? 100%. And these people need to make money, but they were forced to raise these minimum wages. What they do? Here comes the automatic ordering. Now, when you go into a McDonald's, you're not going up and talking to a person, at least out here in California. Yeah. You're going up to a kiosk and ordering your own damn food, which takes twice as long. And then you just
it's
wait.
Not always right. Yeah, no, you're 100% right. We demand $20 an hour. Okay, we're going to give it to you. But you are fired, and we're replacing your jobs with a computer. So, like,
and we're going to raise the cost of the food now.
Right.
to also pay for it.
So out of the 10 people that were still working there, 3 people are left. So you lost 7 people. I mean, you this is so it's the opposite of what you really need. I guess the few people that are left there to furiously attempt to cook all the food in time for the machines to drop it off, maybe they're making more money. That's great. But a lot of people lost their jobs, and very recently, a lot of people are losing their jobs to automation. The kiosk, and when that happened, it wasn't just McDonald's, bro. Now you're seeing kiosks at Wendy's, you're seeing kiosks at Carl's Jr. All of them.
Not just kiosks. Now, when I pull up to a drive-through at Carl's Jr., some places I'm getting a robo voice.
Hello,
I'm not even talking to a person.
Hello, welcome to Carl's Jr. What can I get you?
I had to place an order, and the whole time I'm going, can I get a famous star? What else would you like? No onions? No onions. And I'm just like, I felt so uncomfortable. Like, what if I have a problem? Like, what's supposed to happen? I felt like I was on a phone call trying to get to Verizon's customer service, an actual person. And I'm like, agent, live person. It's like,
yeah,
I felt helpless.
I did that Instagram hack. I went to a Wendy's next to my house, and I was like, "Can I have 999 Baconator cheeseburgers?" And the thing was like 999, and it went on the screen. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? And let me get one more Baconator cheeseburger. And because it doesn't go past 3 digits, it clipped over. And I ended up with a zero cost on my Baconator cheeseburger. And I was like, all right. And I was like, let me get some small fries. You know what? Let me get 999 small fries. And I did this whole thing where I kept fooling the system into giving me a free order. Yeah. And I thought, I was like, this is going to be great. I get to the front and goes, sir, can you please go back to the drive-thru? There was a malfunction. And I was like, no, your computer malfunctioned. Because if it was a person talk to me, I wouldn't have been able to do that. Yeah,
it's frustrating, man. When I go to the grocery store, when I go to Lowe's, when I go to these places that have these kiosks where you check yourself out, there's no human being there. And these people will be like, hey, come through here, go through this. And I'm like, why are you helping them get rid of your jobs? Come over here and open up a register and let me help you. And it's a shame. I mean, listen, everybody.
This is why I always take the automation tax when I'm at the grocery store. Why I always forget to scan one small item. I always do it.
I wish you wouldn't say that.
For years now, no one has ever caught me. If I'm doing the work, then you're paying the $3.99 for my mayonnaise. Okay.
I mean, I get your reasoning, but I just don't think you should admit it because right now there's somebody watching every video going, "How many weeks is this?
Catch me!"
All right, as soon as he gets to $5,000, we're coming to his house.
Catch me if you can, sucker. Catch me if you can. You can't even find me. I'm a ghost, bro. I'm a ghost.
They can find me, man. Okay. So enough of that. The dock workers will be back. And what would have happened, we didn't get to say, but essentially it could have caused a whole bunch of problems and caused pricing to go up again. I heard there were already people going to Costco and like loading up on toilet paper because they were afraid this was going to be a thing. So it could have caused a huge problem, but it looks like it's going to be worked out. So
yeah.
Woo.
It's going to be worked out. It's going to be worked out. And you know what? What's his name? Harold Daggett is going to continue to make his $1 million a year sipping on Mai Tais on his yacht. And while you're making $32 an hour breaking your back. Just remember that. And I'm not anti-union. I'm just saying that some unions really overstep.
Well, what's the answer then? Because here's the problem. People do need to get paid. So how do we incentivize companies to pay their employees well and also make a decent profit? Like, what is the incentivization?
I don't know. The mob got a hold of the unions, though, and it became just as corrupt as the company that they were fighting a quote unquote against. And I don't know how to do. I don't know what the answer is, but like it is clearly an issue.
Well, and it's quality of employees. So, the companies who want high quality employees will pay their employees more money. And so they bring them in, they give them more stuff. So the problem is places like McDonald's and all of these fast food places, they were never meant to pay a living wage. These are companies that were stepping stones for kids to learn how to become, learn how to get into the workforce. Now, because of our ridiculous illegal immigration problem, and at least here in Southern California, everybody who works at a fast food place is a 40-year-old, Hispanic woman who speaks broken English for the most part. And that's because those are the jobs they can get. And now people are saying, well, they need to have a living wage. Problem is, it never should have been that way. So maybe those jobs shouldn't be. But these businesses, these corporations who are making lots and lots of money, that are becoming monopolies, need to start paying their employees a better wage and taking less money. Stop sending jobs outside of the country. There's lots of things that need to happen, but there is a responsibility for these companies, and the media needs to shine a light on companies who don't do these things, to let the world know that they are being greedy and that they are not taking care of their employees, and tell that story to force their hand. The government needs to stop monopolies. Okay.
Yeah, I completely agree. Well, maybe union presidents shouldn't be getting paid so much, so that there's less money to corrupt.
I don't even know if the money is about corruption anymore. I mean, I know what you're saying, and there wasn't a time like this guy is making a ton of money, but he's also responsible for, it's like a CEO of a company, right? Now, a CEO of a company is going to make, I don't know, $20 million a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if they're making the company $1 billion a year, why wouldn't you pay the guy who's leading him $20 million?
Sure, that's not happening though.
But the same thing. No, it is happening. It absolutely is happening. The Starbucks CEO is making his company $1 billion a year, and he gets $20 million. It's fair, right? If a sports team makes $1 billion for a season, shouldn't their quarterback get $50 million?
No, sure. I'm all about merit-based pay, but
right.
I don't think this guy is. First off, he's not making the company; he's making the employees, right?
The employees' money.
Yeah,
and
but
so
is
they're
he making
him handsomely?
Is he though? Is he making him as much as they're paying?
Here we go. USMX, the company offered them $3 an hour wage.
Right.
This guy countered, threatening them, "Hey, I'm going to come and break your fucking kneecaps."
Basically, yeah.
And said, "Give me $5 an hour." And the company's like, "He might break our kneecaps. We'll give you $4. Deal." So he just made them an extra $1 an hour. That's millions upon millions upon millions.
But then they have to pay their dues every month. Does that? How much of that dollar is actually mattering now? It matters.
It still matters. I mean, it's still this raise is a significant raise. This guy's getting $700,000 a year. It's probably. I mean, how much should he get paid? Should he get paid the same as them?
Not $700,000 a year. That seems so excessive to me.
Well, I mean, he's representing like 2 million people. So it depends on the way you look at it. He's the CEO of their union.
Okay, I get it. How does In-N-Out do it then? In-N-Out has always paid their employees like between $15 and $25 an hour. They have no automation. They literally have employees out in the line helping you order because the actual speaker is not always great. They'll have 2 employees on 2 lines.
That's not why it speeds it up, but yeah.
Right? Or whatever the reason is. They'll have 2 employees on 2 lines. They have like 12 employees inside the store. And they're still charging less now than McDonald's does for a cheeseburger. How is that happening?
It's a very simple answer. They don't open up more locations than they can. So they have control over a limit. It's a family run business. It's not, they're a corporation but it's their family. They have not expanded past a point where they don't give a shit. They
don't franchise to anyone.
Right. They make their own and they make sure that they're paying, a pretty decent wage, that prices stay down, and they offer a limited menu so that they don't have to spend they don't have a lot of waste.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's very right. So they're efficiently ran.
It's efficiently ran. Now you take a look at Five Guys, who's charging $13 a burger.
Right.
And they have, a crazy amount of locations. It's not run by the family anymore. Now it's a kind of a corporation like McDonald's.
That's the base burger, bro. Thing. You add any premiums on there, that becomes an $18 burger real quick.
No, it's 100% true. Yeah. I make them at home now.
Yeah, so that's always been crazy to me though, because I go to In-N-Out now, and In-N-Out used to be the most expensive place to eat for burgers. Now it's the most affordable yet the quality is the same as it was when it was the most expensive. And I'm getting a personal, literally a personal interaction every single time. From the order to paying to picking up my food, it's always a personal interaction, and everyone seems so happy. It's like, like up until maybe a couple of years ago, I was like, listen, if this YouTube thing don't work out, I think I'm gonna go work it out.
Well, yeah, I mean,
$25 an hour as a shift manager, it's not bad.
When you care about your company, it's the way it works. Look at Costco. Costco's another company that doesn't overexpand.
Yeah,
100%
right.
Take good care of their employees. It's all how you run your organization.
People love working at Costco. Costco employees get paid a good wage. They get benefits. They're not overworked. And I mean, I recently went to a Costco and I noticed that you can get a giant hot dog and a drink for $1.50. My tongue hit the floor.
It's the cheapest place you can eat in the entire country.
Like, honestly, you know what every homeless person needs? I'll tell you right now. A Costco membership. Yeah.
No, it's true. I mean, listen, every time we're near a Costco, we'll slide in and grab lunch because it's just saves money. $1.99 a pizza slice? Come on.
If every single homeless person got a Costco membership instead of a bunch of like SNAP benefits and all that, they can eat for the rest of the whole year for $257 or whatever. All right.
Yes. Well, we're dragging out a little bit here. We're going to talk about Helene being the deadliest mainland USA hurricane since Katrina in 2005. Let's just quickly mention that a terrible, horrible thing that occurred. The death toll has risen to 200 as this Category 4 storm, raced into near Tallahassee, Florida. Katrina was devastating. I actually owned a home where Katrina made landfall near New Orleans. And I sold that home, thank God, in 2003, 2 years before the hurricane came in and actually destroyed that house. So I was very fortunate. And I know what those people go through. And it's a really devastating thing. A lot of people are getting support. I think Trump gave like $25 million. FEMA is saying they're broke, only able to give people about $750 each.
Oh my God, it's so frustrating.
Yeah, because look what they're giving other countries, right?
Not just other countries. Yeah, so what they're giving other countries in the billions of dollars. Okay, I'm not sure if did I send you that tweet? Okay, whatever. In the billions of dollars they're sending to other countries, but also the migrants that are being naturalized in some of these states are getting SNAP cards with $25,000 and $5,000 attached to it. I don't understand how we can give other countries and illegal immigrants all this money, but then we have no money to take care of people that were damaged by this horrendous hurricane. It's so nuts to me. It's so crazy.
And then I have to ask the question of these constituents are in Florida. A Republican state, and that's sad that we start to go to that point where, are they concerned about not taking care of these people because they're not voting for their side? You know what I mean? FEMA isn't supposed to be, but of course it's a Biden administration thing. Well, it makes you wonder.
What makes it worse is when you see like stuff like this. And I'm not sure if you saw this. I'm just going to play a small clip of it. This guy, he came in with his own personal helicopter and civilian helicopters of friends that he had, and he was rescuing people. He rescued babies and older people. He was rescuing people, bringing in supplies, and he was told that him and his people were told that they're no longer allowed to do that because they're not bringing supplies in through the approved vendors or whatever, and they're. And then on the same day that they're being penalized and being told they can't go in there and save people, they're also, I'm sorry. On the same day they're being told they can't go in and do this job, for the military. They're also saying that they have no way to get President Biden specifically. They have no way to get in there because it's a mess. How do you even get to people to rescue them? Helicopters. The guys that you were telling can't do it are already doing it. That makes no sense. The National Guard has helicopters. The military has helicopters. We have fed hundreds of billions of dollars into this military machine. Can we use that machine to rescue people that need rescuing, please? Or are you going to penalize the people that are trying to help, fine them, don't allow people to actually bring in supplies because of they're not approved vendors, and then make stupid excuses like, oh, it's first frustrating. We don't even know how to get in there. What, President Biden? Are you kidding me? This guy's already doing it. It's so crazy.
It's
bro.
true.
Two out of the 40 helicopters. This guy says 2 out of the 40 helicopters that were doing the work were National Guard / military. The rest of them were all private, and they're all grounded.
Yeah, and Jerry makes a good point here in the comments section. He talks about each department has its own budget, like FEMA does, and they're running out of emergency funds with things going on. The thing is, though, is that here's what happens as a president, or you can do certain executive orders. There's certain pots of money. You know, what happened in Maui should have never happened. Those people should have been taken care of. Let me tell you this. I would like there to be a way when disasters happen in our country that my tax dollars can go to support that, as opposed to things that have no benefit or impact to our country whatsoever. So I would say that there's a way. The people are being offered $750 for groceries, and maybe that will help temporarily, but they're going to need to do a lot more for these people.
Dude, $750 here is like, it's just not a lot of money.
Well, it is more. It will be more in the Southeast, but it's going to be enough temporarily to help them out. But and this isn't everything that's going to end up happening. FEMA does a lot of other stuff, but it would be nice.
What did FEMA spend its money on where it's out of money?
I mean, there's lots of natural disasters that happen all year long that they spend their money on, and who knows? I don't have a breakdown of everything that they've spent, but I'm just saying, they have to have money for things that happen.
Yes, like we cannot look. Okay, then if that's the answer, then you need to raise FEMA's effing budget. Okay, it is not reasonable to send $100 billion to people outside this country, and then the organization that is responsible for saving people during national disasters doesn't have enough money to do its job. That's not reasonable.
Yeah, it's more complicated than that, but essentially that is what the eye test is telling us. That's what people see. And the problem is when you don't take care of people, like what happened on Maui, and you see that people are, people have insurance for a reason, insurance companies, and that's a big part of it. But the federal government needs to come in and if certain monies need to be set aside, or they need to pull from some of the defense budget in order to pay for things to help people, then that's the kind of thing that we need to make sure that we're doing. And of course, there are people who take advantage of in these opportunities, in these situations sometimes as well. So you got to have, of course, good oversight to make sure that good things are happening. But we'll see in the aftermath of how well the government did taking care of these people.
Here we go. Prediction: not well, because so far they've handled almost none of the natural disasters well. Like Katrina, remember George Bush didn't like black people. Remember that? Maui. We can go down and look at the list of problems that the government they're just bad at doing their job. Jeremy Snyder had a good point here. You talk the House and Senate members to stop campaigning and come back to DC. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop campaigning. Go do your job. That's the thing.
I mean, they are the ones who fund the department. So, I mean, if this is a huge talking point for the left, is they really, they're talking about how, the climate crisis and how disasters are getting worse and all these things are happening. Well, maybe the FEMA budget should continue to go up, and maybe we should take it away from some other programs that aren't as advantageous to Americans.
I don't want to be sacrilegious here, but you know what? Maybe the military doesn't need as much money as they're getting. Maybe social programs don't need as much money as they're getting. Maybe Ukraine doesn't need $56 billion.
No, maybe BlackRock.
Maybe BlackRock doesn't
all
need
that money, or all the other war companies. Maybe they don't need.
Maybe the war machine needs less money. Anyone figure that out? Maybe give the natural disaster people more money to do their jobs. I also don't like the idea of approved vendors. That is so stupid to me. sorry, you're not getting this through approved vendors. Approved vendors, mother? Are you kidding me? Is there deals being made on a national disaster? So frustrating, dude.
Yeah, we'll see how it works out. Let's quickly talk about the vice presidential debate, and then we need to go to the member section because we're running long here.
Yeah, we are.
So real quick here, let's talk vice presidential debate, which was on Tuesday night. And we got JD Vance, of course, Trump's running mate, and you had Tim Walz, who's Harris's running mate, and they had a little debate that I would say took people by surprise. Brian, what was your take?
I wasn't that surprised. We know JD Vance is sort of a killer when it comes to wordplay. He's very
right
put together.
But no, you weren't surprised, but
right.
The media had been pushing the narrative as, JD Vance is mean, angry.
You're right.
Anti-woman.
They pushed this narrative that he was like this weird, aggressive dude. Like there's an article out there was like his beard is aggressive. You're like, okay, dude. But that's not the JD Vance that we had seen previously. So I wasn't surprised when he was calm, collected, informed. I gotta say, it was a very good debate because Tim Walz and JD Vance seemed to actually get along on a few topics. And it's always nice to see that. In fact, I would love to have these guys sit down and do like a 3-hour long form podcast because, you'd be surprised how much they actually agree on versus how much they disagree on. And then coincidentally, how much they can modify their thoughts so that both parties are happy with a certain outcome or decision. Versus just like angry yelling. I did notice that it seemed like their entire job was to advertise for their running mate versus for their own position. And I think both VP nominees did a very good job at attempting to promote their own running mate, either Kamala or Trump. And the one thing I found interesting was when the network had agreed to not fact check live and to allow the debaters to debate. Because here's the problem with fact checking. There is no debate when you have the moderators actively deciding what the outcome of a question is. And that's what fact checking is. It doesn't make any sense. It takes the debate out of the debate. So allowing them to have the conversation was important. Well, when they did attempt to fact check JD Vance and then turn his mic off, he was able to come back, not in an aggressive way, but point out that they said we're not fact checking, and then complete the fact check and show them how they were wrong. It was very well done.
Yeah, I think you're right. But the important thing I think to note here is that it was a cordial thing, which we haven't seen in a long time. Every debate has been a while where people kind of tear into each other. This is almost more like throwing back to a debate from the 80s, where it was a little more reasonable. And what I think was important was JD Vance has to be that candidate for Trump because Trump is so
bombacious.
He is so attacky. He is so that Vance really needed to clear the air and to show. And I think it probably was more effective because a lot of especially Republicans, Nikki Haley Republicans, who don't want to support Trump might be like, oh, shoot, I'll support this Vance guy because he kind of talks like we want a Republican to talk. The thing that surprised me most was Tim Walz, because I felt like there's a guy who 100% believes everything he's saying. When I listen to Kamala Harris talk, I don't know if she believes what she's saying. I think she's just trying to get elected. To me, Tim Walz looked like a guy who really believes firmly into what he said. And he probably got in a little bit of trouble by agreeing with Vance so much on a lot of his things.
He agreed a lot. Tim, do you know that you are on split screen? Because he was like, yeah.
Well, no, it's true because
spot on there, bud.
Yeah. Well, honestly, this is what we need in our government. We need both sides to come together and to have some sort of give and take. The biggest problem with passing laws and bills right now is the fact that they shove so many things in, neither side can agree. They need to do each bill individually and make some sort of concession.
Stop
for
with
each
the
other.
earmarking. You're right, dude.
Yeah.
Stop with the earmarking. Just like a bill is a bill about that bill. Stop with adding crap to it.
Adding things to it. Right. And they're trying to get more done in less time because they want to go on vacation. And they
want to campaign because their real job is not running the government. Their real job is campaigning. Running the government is their hobby.
Well, and perhaps they, instead of having 2-year terms for House of Representative people, maybe they should have 4-year terms to give them more time to actually, because essentially you get elected, then you got to start campaigning again, which it doesn't give them enough time. But I get it. They want to freshen it up and do things. So I do feel like the vice presidential debate might have been more important than typically. Usually vice presidential debates aren't important because you have the presidential debates, but because we're not going to get another debate because Harris won't agree to go on Fox and Trump doesn't want to get triple teamed again, that this is going to be it. And so people are going to have to take the information. And I do think that Vance ultimately won the night. Unfortunately, Waltz got caught in a couple of lies. I was surprised that they asked him about the Tiananmen Square question, which he couldn't answer.
He seems like one of those old guys, sort of like Trump and sort of like the way our dad is and some older people we know, where they embellish a lot. And then when they're called on their embellishments, they can't really even remember what they embellished in the first place or how they
It's more than embellishment. I agree with you. It's one thing to say, I made $100 million. It's another thing to say, I was there when Tiananmen Square happened.
Yeah, that was silly.
That's a fact.
That was
silly.
silly.
I deployed too. I was in the war.
Yeah.
You
weren't, bro. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's there's the things that are definitely troublesome there. But the question is, do you think that, he probably didn't hurt his base, but I don't think they gained any new voters with that.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Tim Walz, by the way, doesn't seem like a bad guy. He actually he might even be a decent candidate for the office in the future.
No, I don't think so. But go ahead.
Maybe not. I'm not talking about the highest office, but
he loves China too much.
Maybe you're right, but he seemed like he was sort of reasonable, and maybe he didn't know he's on split screen when he was sitting there nodding his head in agreement and basically fist pumping JD Vance.
This was JD Vance's thing. It was very hard for Walz. He had to come. Vance was basically like, "Oh man, I'm really sorry about your 17-year-old son witnessing a school shooting. Oh yeah, hey, listen, to what Tim's saying, he was giving so much empathy towards Tim Walz without giving up any ground that Tim Walz was not expecting that. Dude, he was expecting to get attacked. And I think that the only reaction was his honest reaction.
Right.
What I really saying.
JD Vance really, might have been the best debate. And I've watched a lot of debates I've seen ever, because the way he would corner in a non-aggressive way, he would get Tim into a position to say what he wanted him to say. And he would always come out with something before the other side could. It's almost like he was aware of what was going to be said before it was being said. He was like a rapper. And in this case, JD Vance was Eminem in 8 Mile. Very, very masterful.
There was a look that Vance gave while Tim Walz was talking. I don't know if you have a picture of it, but he looks back. He looks back at the moderators of the camera, and I would say probably the best part of the whole thing. It's very hard to have a look that basically conveys this guy is full of shit, but at the same time without looking mad or without you coming across negatively as well. It's kind of like, can you believe what this guy's saying right now?
Is that one?
And there's a look. There it is. Yeah. He's like, can you believe what this guy's saying right now?
Yeah, it's the Jim Helper look from The Office.
Yeah, it's you're in on a little secret with me. Right. It's masterfully done. Whatever prep this dude did, this is obviously a really smart guy. It frightens me a little bit because I don't know how sincere he is.
Right.
And that I don't like that about my politicians. I like to know where they stand. Even though I don't support Tim Walz, I know that he believes in so I trust what he's saying, just like I trust what Trump is saying, because I do believe Trump, that's what Trump believes. He says it. I believe what Tim Walz said is exactly what Tim Walz believes. So I can trust that whatever he's going to do is going to delete.
Yeah.
Now, Harris and Vance, on the other hand, especially, Harris and Vance I'm just not sure if that's how he truly feels or if he's just really polished. So
you're right. This meme got me because it definitely, have you ever watched Home Improvement?
Yes, that's a good
one. Every time Tim the Toolman was like, we can use this sander over here. He's like, I don't think so, Tim.
I don't think so, Tim. That's a perfect meme.
Perfect meme. It worked. All right.
Well, we'll have to see what happens and whether it moved the peg when election happens in November. So
we'll see. Regardless of what happens in November, I do believe that both those guys are going to run for president in 2028. So,
yeah. Well, I don't know if Walz will, but I definitely see Vance running.
100%. Yeah, he's going to be running for sure.
All right. Well, let us know what you guys think, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the show today. Brian and I are getting ready
real
to
quick. We had a couple. We're going to go there, but real quick. We had a couple polls that I want to share the results of. Are you in favor of unions? Yes. It's complicated. No. Yes got 44%. It's complicated got 33%, and no got 22%. Pretty sport. And I'm about to end the VP debate. Who won the VP debate? JD Vance 80%. Tim Walz 20%.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what about did you do the Rachel Zegler one?
Yeah, it was about 50-50. Remember, no 55%, yes 44%.
Okay, gotcha. So, and of course, Brian and I, so Brian does find her attractive. I don't find her attractive.
I don't find her exceedingly attractive. But
don't walk back. Hey, don't walk
I'm
back.
not Tim walking
Walz.
it back. I'm
don't walls that.
Gal Gadot is way, way hotter. But I don't think Rachel Zegler is unattractive at all. So
I'm going to go with it's complicated on the union front.
Yeah, me too.
That's a tough one to answer. And who won the VP debate? Definitely JD Vance won. Although I will say, I dislike Walz a lot less after hearing him talk about his positions.
Copy. Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to the members section, folks. Come on in. The water is warm. You can join by hitting the join button, bottom left. Hit that join button. Become a member. Support the channel. This week and weeks to come, you're going to be seeing a whole lot of clips being released. We're going to go back to doing clips and editing and stuff like that. And we really want this channel to start growing. So if you can help us out by either becoming a member or just sharing this stream and liking if you've gotten this far. And if you're not a subscriber and you've gotten this far, please hit the subscribe button. Hit all the buttons. And we'll see you in the member section. Right, Jen?
See you guys there. Thank you. See you next week if you don't come with us.
Nothing is impossible. Just do it. Do it. Just do it. Yes, you can.